because I have been known to spoil things, I'm going to quickly ask who here has seen Severance? Raise your hand. Okay, so I will try not to spoil it, but I am going to ask a lot of good questions.
Why not?
I can? All right, I got permission from him. I'm going to do it.
You'll spoil one thing, and then maybe it'll be interesting.
Yeah, okay, so Jeremy, because not everyone is as much of an IMDb pro nerd as I am, I'm just going to brag about you for a little bit. You were nominated for an Emmy for your work on Severance, and our audience might also know you for your work on movies like Zero Dark 30 and Top Gun Maverick. So very impressive career, but I do just want to talk about Severance. So what I love about the show is that it feels frozen in time. It's like part 60s office park, part tech dystopian startup. What was the initial spark that unlocked this aesthetic for you?
I mean, the script, when I first read it, was really, it read like The Office. It was written like The Office. It was budgeted to shoot in just a regular location. Ben sent it to me, and I was like, I don't want to do this. And then I thought, you know what? What if I just took 2 days and I'm going to let me see what I can do in 2 days. And if I come up with something, let's meet. And I kind of had this idea that it reminded me of Twin Peaks. There was something strange in the script. The words were weird. It was playful, but it was just an office environment, which was nothing for me to design. So I thought, what if I just create this world that I want to make? And I did. In like 2 days, I just had this lookbook that I loved, and we met, and I said, look, I'll do the show if you want to do this. And he was like, great, let's go. And then we had the battle of how to do it and how much more money it's going to cost. And then everything exploded, but everyone really supported it, and it's became this sort of entity. And I think it was interesting because I wanted the show to be timeless. I didn't want anyone to really know where it was, when it was. It's especially underground when, in MDR, the main set, we wanted the technology to really be quite confusing. It's all functional, but if any was to escape to the outside world and could describe it, it would make no sense. Like, my son doesn't know what a trackball is. My daughter, they don't know what this tech is. But now it's kind of funny. Now they're all fascinated. Now they all want these damn keyboards. Yeah. And it's kind of fun, and it was also to make it really playful. Like, there was a movie, Playtime, that I love from the 60s, and I kind of threw that at Ben, like, what if we just make the show playful along with this really interesting story that Dan wrote, which is really about the work-life balance, which is a huge problem right now. Like, how do you go to work and go home? And because of this damn iPhone we all have, or technology, it's 24 hours a day. Yeah. And I think it was like, how do we make this fun to also talk about something that's really important, how to set boundaries.
I like that you say playful when it's such a dark show. Yeah. It's a very serious show.
Well, that's the thing.
But there are fun elements of it.
Because the idea is really totally dark. It's like, and people say, like, oh, I would do that. It's like, really? Just for work, or just for the dentist, or just like it's like people don't want to live experiences anymore. They just want it to be always happy. And you don't know what happy is unless you're sad. You don't know.
Would you be severed yourself?
Never.
Okay, why or why not?
Because I love all the emotions, and I like, like 2 weeks ago I did Config, this conference. I did this, but in front of 10,000 people, which I don't do. Like, I stood on the Moscone alone for 35 minutes talking, and I didn't take what's the drug a lot of people take when they speak. Propofol, or there's something that people take. And all these tech guys said, you didn't take it? And I'm like,
not on one now.
I didn't know what it was. I'm like, no, I was just like gonna vomit the entire time. But
we have a bucket, right?
But I wanted that experience. Like, I like to be terrified, because once you're terrified, you can do something really interesting. Right. You can be really honest, and then that's living. Yeah. And I don't know. I want to live.
I love that. And speaking of terrifying and vomit-inducing, I want to pull up on the screen here something that terrifies me about the show, which is the hallways. They are so iconic. The season 2 opener is just running through these empty hallways with Adam Scott. How did you create this? Is this one set? And what was your thought or inspiration behind it?
It's funny, because this is a drawing. This is one of the original concepts. It was trying to create, we needed to create like a maze for people to get lost in. Like, the innies are not allowed to escape, but they feel free. Mm-hmm. So we built so many hallways. And obviously in visual effects, we extend them. But as I told you, people get lost. John Turturro and Christopher Walken did get lost. And so it was trying to create something that was like, it felt aesthetically pleasing, but also like really void of like it made you feel uncomfortable. It's trying to create, for me, it was always trying to create an emotional response to the script. And when people are watching it, that you're doing something that's either counter or it helps infer the story as opposed to just the dialogue or the actors telling the story. It's like, how do I tell the story? And put them in these environments that they feel real in because they're doing something that's quite absurd, and make it feel believable at the same time. And this hallways particularly, like we tested 25 whites on camera to come up with which white it was. And Ben,
How do you choose that?
And Ben said, he's like, why are we testing 25? And I was like, because we won't know until we see it. Like, you'll see. And we all sat in this room after we did them, it was about 10 of us, and we came down to 2 colors. 23 of them were so wrong. And it's because emotionally it was just like, that didn't make me feel what I should feel. Like, they just didn't emote something in what your brain and in what your heart wanted. And it came down to 2, and then it was learning how to be that particular to tell a story.
How much
kind of became the art.
How much did the actors themselves, like Adam Scott, influence what you designed for each of the episodes?
Not at all.
Oh, really? Okay.
No, honestly, this last season, no, because they were kind of like, we're all, especially the first season was during COVID, like 0 interaction almost at all. But mostly we're all, it's an interesting show. The scripts, it's not like a regular TV show. Most shows you get a script and you really shoot the script. Like Law and Order, you just shoot the script. Right. I get a script and I completely alter so many ideas, and then I present, what if there was this set? What if we told the story this way visually? Then they rewrite it. Jessica, the DP, does. Ben, we all have a lot of ideas, and we fight and argue, and there's 0 egos. Like, it's insanely collaborative.
What's the biggest disagreement you've had with them?
It was always, actually it was Ben and I on the ceiling of the next one.
Oh, okay, let's go to it.
It was this one.
Yeah.
It wasn't an argument. It was, I wanted it to be insanely claustrophobic, but in a really big space, which really, the script just said 4 desks, large room. And then I came up with this bonkers thing. And I wanted the ceiling to be 7'6", which I could touch. I wanted to be able to touch it with my finger. Okay. And when you're in a room that big, it's just the presence it feels and how it makes actors, like John Turturro hated it because he's really tall.
He is tall.
So for him, it was really claustrophobic, and it made him really uncomfortable, which I think you see on screen.
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
you totally get that.
Like,
from
you
him.
start to feel like these things can create. We all feel these things, and if I create spaces like this, it's no different than real life. But Ben and I, so we built a chunk of the set, and we had the ceiling on hydraulics so we could raise and lower it. And I had 7'6", and he wanted 8'6", and I think we got to 7'9", and then I was like, that's it. And we agreed.
That's your line in the
That was
sand.
literally our biggest argument. And that wasn't, it was more we just push each other to make it perfect. It's a show that is really hard to get people to understand, even when you're working on it, to train the crew that there's nothing that isn't perfect. Every detail is, Ben won't shoot it if it isn't perfect. I won't let them see it unless it's perfect. Every little prop, everything is like camera tested, and
I want to ask on the camera testing before we come to the audience for questions is, my brother and I always talk about how do you decide what is color in the show? Because like you have the green, here at Microdata Refinement, you have these blue balloons, and you have different colors, but in mostly a very gray, white, 25 white tested world. How do you decide what gets color and what doesn't?
I mean, the two colors are the 2 colors we look at the most. They're grass and sky. And it basically, the innies are children. Like when Dan said, I said, why is she lying on a boardroom table? Like, how does this show open? He said, well, it's kind of obvious. It's the birthplace of the office. It's the womb. And I'm like, that's not obvious. And so I was like,
that's how everyone here
so I'm
sees
like,
it, right?
He said, so they're children. Like they're children. And I was like, I made this set like a playground. Like it's grass. The desk is interactive. In the second season, I made it that it can spin like honestly like a merry-go-round in a park. Like it started to become all those things that I could play with that you don't really know why I'm doing that, but it's not only just entertaining, but it's uncomfortable, it's engaging. It's funny because when you ask me now, and I remembered my original idea for this was Steve Jobs, when he was going to do the iPhone, he was so particular about the paper and the box. And I'm sure some of you know the story that he sent people around the world until they found the perfect paper, and I think it was in Sweden. And then they bought the company to manufacture the box. The box was more important than the phone. And I was like, wait, what if I'm like Steve Jobs? What if because it's kind of godlike. What if if I'm obsessive like that with everyone on the show, that they have to do it exactly like this, in the same way, in the same tone, it's kind of became really, the crew loved it. They loved the rules. They loved working on it. And it became really addicted to everyone. And now people watch the show, and I think it's why it works. It's that same kind of, like Steve was right. People really want the best.
Yeah.
And when you do the best, it's like an Apple store. It's not that different.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have time for one question. Does anyone have one? Oh, I see right up here, Chris. One's coming to you.
So a big fan of the show. Thank you
Oh,
for
thank
all
you.
your work. So my question for you is, I mean, we spend a lot of time, I think, in business thinking about the environment that we create for people to work. So you created an environment that was deliberately claustrophobic and what is your work environment? What do you require in order to do the kind of creative work that you do?
But it's funny, film offices are usually really crappy. Because they're always like, it could be a warehouse, who knows. Honestly, I'm a big, what's happened in the last few years has been really hard for all of us, and I don't know if it is for you, but for creative people, COVID was terrible. I hate Zoom. I hate all of that stuff. It's functional for some stuff, but I like to be interactive with everyone I work with. I need to see them. You can tell immediately, like if someone in a day might be good for what you're going to give them. Like the painters, you kind of have to read. I have hundreds of people that work for me, and I have to read them all day long. Is this the right person to give this task to? You can tell the look in their eyes. I need that to know who I can deliver things to. And so you kind of just, I have a huge desk in my office that I had built. I always have it built for every show I work on. And every meeting is basically in my desk, in my office, and it sometimes has 30 people crammed around it. And it's always the same, and I have all these hidden shelves underneath where I hide everything. So everyone comes in and it's nothing. And then I slowly pull things out. And I always have a monitor, and I rehearse all my meetings for everyone. For Ben, I rehearse them, and then everything slowly gets slipped out. So it feels, and you change things as you're presenting. You can tell what's going to work or not going to work. If you get the vibe, don't show. You have to be a little bit controlling and reserved on what's the right time to show something, and will they respond to it? Especially, studios or directors, particularly. It's that environment is really important to me. That I have everyone around me, and then I used to actually put it in the middle of the room, so everyone would work around me, and they could see what I was doing. But on Severance, it became really, it's such a long show, like it was 2.5 years for me this last season, so I kind of needed my own office. And I've also realized a great technique that I've really started about 6 years ago is every day at 2 o'clock, I take a 22-minute nap. And I have a sofa, and everyone knows, the entire show knows, do not knock on my door, because at 2 to 2:22, I don't really nap, or I might, but I wake up with a billion more ideas. If I don't, I might as well go home. I don't have anything left, and you just shut down, nothing, just no tech, and just daydream, and then I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I have so many more ideas. And then, that's how I started to learn how to really work in command, this is how I need to work in an office environment, was that. And I think everyone's kind of different, but
Can I ask, Jeremy, because you've said before that your critique about the workplace today is it's too home-like. There's too many benefits, perks, pictures. But Lumen is the opposite of that.
Well, so the one thing was,
and you said it was based on the John Deere building, which is a real-life building. Can we end with any thoughts you have for company leaders, workforce leaders, designers about anything they should or should not take from you?
So what I realized with in the 60s, you basically had a pen, a Rolodex. You had 4 things. You had no family photographs. You didn't have family life. You didn't have a phone. Your kids don't text you all day, I hate school. You just went to work. And I think it was way more productive. I personally do. I think office spaces were designed well, so you felt like you were in a place that was respected, that you could be creative. And I think trying to get back to that and keep a little bit of, if you're trying to make people work for 16 hours, you need to have their home life in there. But I think people are only productive for 10 hours max anyway, so just make it work. And I've started to notice that young people really want the work environment. They want to have their home environment separated. And I know it was blended for a long time, in probably the 90s, 2000s, but maybe it's just, and I've worked a lot of advertising too, and advertising agencies love the fun stuff. They've got the draft machines and and I'm like, well, because they want them to work 18 hours a day. And I don't. I think that's terrible.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, I know we're out of time. Really fast, what character do you most identify with? 20 seconds or less.
On the show?
Yes.
Ooh, Helly.
Helly, why?
Because I think it's fun to have those kind of personas. Like hers, I think
Yeah.
she's the fun. She is the funnest person on the show to me, because she's she's running the company, but underneath she's got this warm heart. It's like she's playing the game, and because she knows all the rules.
Yeah, that's it. Well, thank you so much, Jeremy. I appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.